Hello everybody and welcome back to Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson, and today I have a raid in the rack video for you, and I got myself an absolutely beautiful plant that I want to show you in a moment here. This video is also going to be a repotting of the same kind of plant because I'm having a bit of an issue with cuttings from this kind of plant. So let me just get on and show you what I've got, because you can already see this plastic next to me here with a beautiful tall plant in it. And I haven't seen this plant in this size around here anywhere for, well, I haven't seen it at all until now. So I had to get me one. So let me just get it packed out so you can just see its beauty. Now, basically, I've got soil all over the place inside again. I think I can just cut up. And well, there we have it. I got me a lovely, beautiful, exotic plant here. This is Philodendron hederaceum Brasil. And it's a big, mature plant that is growing on a metal frame. And there are lots of different vines on this frame here, tightly packed together. And I can see it's grown quite tall, so it's been folded up and down on itself around this metal frame. It's an absolutely beautiful example of this plant, so I just had to get me one. It's got the lovely yellow variegation in the middle. These leaves are very healthy and beautiful. There are some that are plain green, but most of them have the variegation in them. And it's looking really thick in some places in its stem. And there are lots of new leaves and lots of new ends coming out on this plant, so it's continuing to grow. Now, I've been struggling with a set of cuttings that I have from a Philodendron hederaceum Brasil, trying to get them to grow up a huge 3-meter high totem, and it just hasn't been working out for me. Part of it, I think, is to do with light, part of it to do with them maybe drying out because they haven't had very good roots on them, and they've been struggling to settle in and acclimatize. And, well, the same set of cuttings that I'm talking about, I put in the pot behind me here. I just don't think they're going to bush out and do as well as I thought they would. I've had to chop a few leaves off because they've been yellowing. And now I've decided I'm going to take those out and I'm going to put them in a glass vase with soil and just keep them as a small plant on their own and just try to get them to recover and enjoy them as a small bushing plant rather than letting them vine out. And that way I might be able to get it to recover and just become a different example, because I want this to be a tall vining totem plant, and this I'll let stay as a small bush. So I'll take that out of there, and I'm going to find another beautiful plant that will be thick and beautiful that I can place in this pot under my Monstera Deliciosa. I'm still going to have another plant down here. I just don't think this is the one for me. Those cuttings have been struggling so much, and I've moved them around 3 times now, and it's really not helping them. So I'm going to give them a final home and give them lots of love and then see what happens with them. But here, because I have a mature plant that's been in this pot for a long time and it's grown very tall, it's very happy, and it's got quite thick stems for a philodendron, so it's really doing well. I am not going to be removing this plant from its nursery pot. I have just bought a white covered pot to put it in so it looks nice at the bottom, and I am leaving it alone. The only thing I'm going to do, because it is growing so tall, is I'm going to try and get 2 coconut fibre stakes down the middle of the metal frame it's already in, so that I can encourage the plant to carry on growing taller. That way, because this is established, and because it's got a good root system, and because it's in the same pot, and I won't be disturbing it, I might get the result I want this time of a really tall Philodendron hederaceum Brasil. That's what I want. So I've already got a good meter here, and it is vining out and growing out at the top. So I'm sure I should be able to get another 1 or 2 meters out of this plant when it's on the floor and reaches up to my ceiling, because I'm not going to be fussing with it in any way. So anyway, I just want to bring it in so you can have a closer look at it, and then I will get on to repotting my other cuttings so that you can see what I'm doing with those as well. And yeah, wish me luck with those. But anyway, have a look at this plant for now, closer up. Now what I'm going to do is swivel it around so you can see all the sides, because it's absolutely beautiful. It's absolutely full. It's very happy, very healthy, and well established. And basically now I've got a well established plant, I know that I have a much better chance of this plant carrying on in this way, because I won't be disturbing it, as I keep saying. And it's got lovely big leaves on it. Look at this leaf. If I put my hand behind, you can see the size of that leaf, and the one below is even bigger. I mean, some of them, they are really as big as the palm of my hand. So it's got lovely, big, mature leaves on it. Now, I can't stress enough that if you want to keep the variegation in this plant, you have to have it in a bright, indirect position. Otherwise, the variegation will quickly turn a lighter tone of green, and then new leaves that come out will start coming out plain green like a normal Philodendron hederaceum, which this is a cultivar from, which is the original kind of plant before these variegations were engineered into the plant, as you can say. So I am really, really happy with this. Oh, I've just noticed there's a, I wonder if I can show you. I just want to see if I can show you. There is a leaf on the top of this plant, I've just noticed, that is bigger than my hand. I just want to see if I can show you that on camera. I have to hold the whole pot, it's quite big. So that leaf up there in the middle, I don't know if you can appreciate it on camera, but it is absolutely huge. That leaf is bigger than my hand. And look at the top, all these new stems, the ends of the stems coming out. So what a happy plant this is. Look at that. Beautiful. And heavy. Oh, I need to put it down. So right, that was the plant I got while I was out raiding the rack today. I am so thrilled. At last, I have a big, bushy Philodendron hederaceum Brasil, like I've wanted for a long time, and I've been struggling with all these small cuttings that I've bought to try and get them to grow like my other vining plants that have just taken off and are just all racing up to the ceiling. And that's because a lot of those plants I bought were mature, are still in their nursery pots, they haven't been messed around. Some of them have been repotted around the edge with new soil and pulled out a little bit of their roots. And staked up, but they were big already. They were tall. They were like this already, a lot of them. So they had a lot more maturity in them. So I would just suggest, if you're working with this plant and you want to get it up vining, you might need to go out and get yourself a more mature plant. If you're happy to have a little plant and let it grow as a bush and let it start vining out slowly but surely, without you moving it around and putting it in other pots and different things and moving it into different positions all the time, stressing it out, then you might have luck and you'll be fine doing that. But I'm a little bit impatient. So I've wanted this, and now I've got this. I'm going to make my other little cuttings into something beautiful as well. I'm not giving up on them, that's for sure. So let me get on to repotting those. Right, so the way this is going to go is I have a lovely white vase. I want to see what's happening with the roots of these cuttings when I put them in here now, because they've been struggling so much, and I want to see when they start getting healthy and filling out this pot. And also, I've discovered they really do need a lot more moisture, so I don't need to worry about something with drainage holes. I need to keep them moist. So this glass vase is going to be perfect. The first thing I'm going to do is fill the bottom with 2 centimeters of leckables, so that I know I have a little reservoir area for the roots to go down without lots of soggy soil when they start growing right down to the bottom, and if this ever should get overwatered. I've washed my leckables out. As I always say, make sure you wash them out. They have a lot of dust in them, and you don't want that getting in and clogging up the soil and the roots of your plant. So, leckables in. I want some more. I have some more. So these are washed and wet. There's a lot of water coming out. So I'm happy with that level. That's fine. So now what I'm going to do is put a little bit of soil in here, and then I can start transplanting my cuttings. So, time to pull up the sleeves a little bit here. So I have my soil here. It's a mixture of a good potting mix, wood bark chunks, and lots of perlite to make sure this soil stays nice and aerated for these cuttings. So I'm going to put some of that in first. Like that. And then basically start bringing all my cuttings over and putting them in here. I'm going to make a trench in the middle this time and put all my cuttings close together as I can in the middle and let them grow out around it themselves. So, they should be easy to get up because, as I said, some of them are really not doing well and some don't have much of a root system. Oh, they're just, actually, some of them are just falling apart here. If I show you this one, the leaves just fell off. That's no good. No, that's dead. So that one didn't make it. I better get my spoon so I can be a bit more delicate. There's another stem here that didn't make it. That didn't make it. There's nothing on it. Then I have another one that has a leaf that's okay. So I'll try and get that delicately. That one's fine. It's got a leaf that's okay. So I'll lay that in on the edge of my pot. Get the next one. Yeah, this one's got a lot of nice leaves on it as well. Oh, I'm getting mess everywhere. So I can get that and I can lay that over the edge of this pot as well. Then I have another one here. It has nice big roots. So even though I've just pulled a leaf off it, it should be able to recover. So I'll lay that in there as well. Oh, and I just pulled another leaf off it. If it wants to recover, it has a chance. It has a good root system. So it could easily flush out new leaves with more moisture. I can see they're quite dry. Stem at the back here, no leaves on it whatsoever, no roots. Out with that. That didn't make it. Lots of them didn't make it. Take another one out here at the front that looks like it's doing quite well. Well, actually, this one has one leaf, big roots, so in with that, give it a chance, why not? Another broken leaf, another broken leaf. So I have another one here, I really don't know how it's doing. Take that out. Oh, okay, that one lost its leaf. There are viable roots and green stem. So I am going to put this in here anyway, because with some TLC, I really might be able to get these plants back. We'll see. So I have a couple more here. Just need to get those out. See how we go. Oh, that was a lot. That was a lot. That was the last bits, actually. Yeah. That was the last bits, a bit of rubbish. So, these have got more leaves and look like they have a good chance of doing better. So I am going to put these, even though they've lost a few leaves here, I'm going to put these in the middle here too. Just like that. There really is nothing left around my Monstera deliciosa, so that's fine. Make sure the soil's just all back down around that plant until I'm ready to figure out what I'm going to replace this plant with down here. And now I can just put a lot of soil on top of these pieces to get them going in their new pot. The final move for these cuttings to really see if I can if I can save them completely. So soil on top, shake it down all around. I just need to make sure I get all those roots covered, you see. So I'll do that first. And move around the soil all over here. Just like that. So tidy off some of the old sheaves just to help it look a little bit better. That's not bad. There we go. Around everywhere that it needs soil. So in this pot, they have plenty of soil and lots of chances to try and flush out and do better. And I just want to cut off any bits that look a bit dead, just to give this plant a chance to look better and do better and flush out new leaves at different points that are maybe better for it. Any bits that have potential for new leaves coming out, I'm leaving those ends. There are some small ends here, and hopefully it will flush out. And there we have it. This is the cuttings that I have left from the cuttings that I have bought, and I have actually moved around and messed around with too much before they were established well enough in their nursery pots and also acclimatized enough to their new surroundings. So this is what I have left. This is what I'm going to save now. And you can see the leaves aren't doing all that fantastic. They've got a little bit of yellowing going on. But other than that, I mean, they're perky enough. They really are perky enough. They're looking good enough. And they look really good in this little pot, this glass pot. So now I have great potential to be able to see how the roots are growing out from these cuttings and how moist the soil looks at the same time, so I can get my probe and test, but I can also easily quickly look through the glass and see if the soil looks moist, and that is going to help me keep this cutting collection happy. So now I'm actually really, really happy anyway, because I have all these cuttings that look cute in this pot. I'm going to put them somewhere where they get plenty of bright indirect light, plenty of water. I'm going to mist them and I'm going to give them all my loving energy, because I really want to save these ones now and keep them as a little bushing plant in this pot. And I think they're going to make it now. I think they're going to do really well. And then next to me, I have this beautiful totem, this beautiful, mature and well-established Philodendron hederaceum Brasil that I'm not going to be messing around with in any way. I am going to love and enjoy it as it is. So at last, I've got me a vining example of this plant, and that's what I've wanted for so long. And well, the price, I paid 675 Swedish krona for this plant. You can go and work that out in dollars and euros and pounds. And I just thought that was an absolutely okay price to pay, full price in the store, because as I said, it's not very often you're going to find a big, huge, well-established plant like this. You get them usually as little cuttings like this, and they'll probably be fine if you don't mess around with them, but I did, and they really didn't like it. So it's a very sensitive plant, actually. There's a lot of people saying this is very easy to keep and low maintenance and so forth. For me, it hasn't been low maintenance, but it's all my fault. I've mucked about with this plant too much. I've moved it around, I've repotted it, I've cut bits, I've pulled the roots around and everything, and it just hasn't been happy with that. So this is the last triumphing plants that made it through all that, and now I am going to give them my full love and attention and bring them back So I have two different types of examples of this plant. So anyway, I've gone on about this enough in this video. So I just want to mention that because I had to take these out of the pot behind me underneath my Monstera deliciosa was nothing to do with planting two different types of plants together. So you don't have to go worrying about that. You can plant different plants underneath other plants and they will do absolutely fine. You just need to find plants that are compatible when it comes to watering and light and so forth, and then they'll be fine. The only reason these cuttings failed were because they were failing before I started, some of them. They didn't have very good roots, and then I put them in this pot and I haven't wanted to overwater my Monstera, and so these have dried out and the conditions haven't been right for it there. But I will find something to be underneath my Monstera deliciosa that will be thick and bushy and beautiful, and you will see that in the future that it's absolutely no problem. It's just finding plants that are established, that have good root systems and are compatible with the situation and your space and how you're looking after your own plants. Okay, so don't think it's because this plant cannot live with a Monstera deliciosa. It absolutely can. It's just down to me and you and how you're handling your plants at the end of the day. And this was an example of to be careful. That's all I'm saying. But everything with plants is trial and error. And that's what we love. And sharing experiences that work and don't work are also important, because we can't just keep showing videos online of perfect plants and perfect situations and everything going right, because we know that behind the scenes, that's not true. Many of us have plants that are struggling, failing, misfitting, looking misshapen, not the colours you expected them to be, reverting back to green from variegated, and all sorts of stuff going on. So I am showing you next to a beautiful, lush, perfectly mature plant, and cuttings that were very nice as well, some of them, and not ended up being so very nice because of the way I've handled them. This is an experience for me and for you, so you can be careful and, you know, just think about what you're doing with your plants before you just do anything with them. But again, I still advocate that you try things, you experiment with things, as long as you have the budget for it as well. That's all I'm saying, because some plants are really expensive, so you don't want to go experimenting with them. But if you have plants that you can get other examples of them and things go wrong, then that's okay. And that's also what you need to remember. And I'm also the same. I do love the individual plants I have. I get attached to the plants I have. But we need to remember at the end of the day that you can go out and get yourself another example of that plant, because there are so many clones and so many cuttings and so many different plants looking exactly the same that you can go and get a new one if things don't go the way you'd like them to. So just remember that and do your best with what you have and love them to death, because I love them to death and I love the look of this already now. I'm just loving it. So just a few care tips for this plant. This plant likes to be in bright indirect light if you want it to grow its best. It can dry out between waterings and then water it through, and then just check that the plant is never sitting in any water, because that will quickly rot the roots. And don't let the plant get over dry, because the leaves will start folding together, and and then you'll see miscolouring in the leaves and so forth, and it won't be happy that way either. Make sure it has an aerated soil, a mixture of different things, potting soil as I use, bark, perlite. Make sure the soil is aerated. That is best for this plant. And yeah, basically that's it for basic care tips of this plant. And if it gets leggy, you can go and prune pieces off, you can propagate them. You decide the shape of your plant. You can either let it get long and vining, you can keep it as a little bush, you can have parts vining and parts bushing, you could have it crawling along something. It's a wonderful plant, it's very versatile, but if you want to keep the variegations, keep it in some bright indirect light, because otherwise your plant will revert to green. Anyway, that's all I have for you for this video. Thank you very much once again for watching Gardens and Crystals with me, Wesley Peterson. Please remember to write any comments you have below, any questions and any ideas for videos you may have for me. Please also remember to like, subscribe and hit the bell so you know when my next video will be uploaded. and I will see you again very, very soon. Goodbye.